Welcome friends to another r/entitled parents video. If you want to prove you're not entitled, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons down below and support the channel. That said, our first story of the day is by Level Kaleidoscope 32. Entitled Mother's son needs to look out my window even if it hurts me. This happened a few years ago on a transatlantic flight, 7 hours or so. I had a window seat and Entitled Mother sat down next to me with her son, maybe 5? She seemed nice enough and the kid was pretty well ensconced in a box of animal crackers. Man, I totally should have bought some animal crackers before boarding. Anyway, after she'd settled their things, she said to me, "He'd really like to look out the window, would you mind switching?" She was more or less polite, but I could sense the undercurrent of entitlement and I was just not in the mood for it. Being polite but firm myself, I responded, "I'd prefer to stay in my seat, also it's an overnight flight." I gestured outside. "It's dark out." She shifted from politely waiting for me to do her bidding and escalated to the Karen glare. "Just switch with him, he wants to look outside." I say, "So you want me to sit between you?" She says, "What? No, he'll take the window while you take the aisle." Her expression added, "Obviously, geez, how clueless can you be?" I stared at her wondering what the heck was wrong with her. Entitled Mother stared back, clearly wondering what the heck was wrong with me. And you might also be wondering what the heck was wrong with me. Why didn't I just switch, right? Well, you see, what isn't obvious to you, but was plainly obvious to Entitled Mother, was that my arm was in a sling. If I moved to the aisle seat per her demands, that arm would be in the aisle, fully available for bodies and beverage carts to bump throughout the long flight. Just sitting next to someone was a calculated risk, but since it wasn't like I could afford to book an empty seat just to baby my lemon of a shoulder, it was the lesser of two evils. One seatmate versus an entire flight's worth of traffic. When it became clear that Entitled Mother wasn't going to make the connection without some guidance, I pointed emphatically at my sling. "I messed up my shoulder a few days ago and it really hurts. I don't want people bumping into it." The Karen glare intensifies. "People aren't going to bump it if you're not leaning out of your seat into the aisle. Please just let him look out the window." She did say please, but she was basically speaking in the Karen voice by this point, so the please was doing as much lifting as it would if she were saying, "Please go get your manager so I can have you fired." I'd basically had enough at that point, so I just took a muscle relaxer, put on my headphones, and knocked out for the flight because screw her. When we landed in London, the kid was out cold and Entitled Mother looks like she was on the verge of hallucinating from lack of sleep, though she still mustered enough energy to shoot me the tired Karen glare. I think she legitimately spent the entire flight fuming that I wouldn't let her, now sleeping, son look out the window at the darkness. I seriously considered telling her I'd done her a favor. After all, if he'd spent that long looking into the void would have eventually begun looking into him. That may have been my muscle relaxers talking. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, which seat is the best seat? Aisle, middle, or window? If you choose middle, I commend you for choosing the wrong choice in my book. In my opinion, it's the window seat is the best seat, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Our next story is by Scarlet Absol 13, diffusing a full-blown Karen fit with a single quip. A "my husband's the manager" story. This happened at the supermarket I work at a few years back. Every so often we have 3-day 77-cent specials on dozens of white eggs while the brown eggs stay their regular price. This in turn gets some customers to try whatever they can to get brown eggs for the 77 cents. Brown eggs are typically 50 cents to $1.50 more expensive than white eggs, and at least in the region of the country I live in, a good number of people have been duped into thinking that brown eggs are better because brown eggs are local eggs and local eggs are fresh. So, on one such weekend, this woman places a carton of brown eggs on the register belt and said, "My husband said I could have these for the sale price. He couldn't be here to confirm this with you because he's at home watching our kids. But he told me I could just tell you he said that and it would be okay." The cashier looked at her and meekly asked, "I'm sorry, who's your husband?" To which the woman confidently responded with, "Mr. Such and Such." The girl responded with a confused, "I'm sorry, who?" The woman then exclaimed, "Mr. Such and Such, you know, your store manager." The poor 16-year-old cashier then made the mistake of telling the woman, "I'm sorry, I'm not sure if Mr. Such and Such is our store manager's name." And the woman absolutely freaked out. "What do you mean you're not sure that's your store manager's name? Are you new here? How do you not know your store manager's name? Where is your supervisor?" All the while, I'm bagging the woman's other groceries while not so subtly snickering to myself, which caused the woman to turn her attention to me and say, "And what do you think is so funny?" Now, I wasn't in the greatest mood at the particular moment because it was so busy that day. I had been pulled from my usual department to bag groceries, and I wasn't happy about it. I'm part of the freight crew, so I usually stock shelves. I wasn't in a bad mood, I was in more of a no craps left to give mood. So I looked at her with my best poker face and said, "Well, ma'am, I'm sorry you have to hear this from me, but your husband, Mr. Such and Such, got transferred to another location 3 years ago and no longer works here. He must have forgotten to tell you. So will you be purchasing the brown eggs at their full price, or do you want me to run and grab you a carton of white eggs?" In the driest, most deadpan customer service voice I could manage. All of the woman's confidence and Karen-ness immediately deflated, and she quietly agreed to me grabbing a carton of white eggs for her. By the time I returned with the white eggs, she had decided that she didn't want to talk to a manager after all, hastily paying for her order and swiftly leaving the store. It wasn't the first time I dealt with a "my husband's the manager" Karen. The first time I dealt with it, our manager had been a woman and the reaction I got was just as satisfying, and I know it probably won't be the last. This Karen is one thing, but how can a Karen go into a store and say, "My husband's the manager," and not actually know who the manager actually is? Like, do you expect the employees to not know who the manager is of the store? At least this Karen's husband was actually a manager, they just didn't know they worked somewhere else. This next story is by RCR Moon. No, I will not watch your rude child. My son rides the bus with a very entitled, unruly girl that lies about everything and bullies people. The bus driver has my son where he can see him to prevent it on the bus. Her mother is just as bad. We do live in a rural area, so the bus stops are spread out. Entitled girl, as I'll call the girl, lives just far enough off. Her mom drives her. On with the nonsense. We're down at the bus stop in my car because it's raining. Normally we walk, but who wants to go to school soaked? Passing time by playing I Spy and games on my phone, here comes entitled mother. She spots my car, entitled girl gets out and beelines to my car. Doors are locked. She runs back to entitled mother's car and loudly complains she can't get in. No, I'm not letting her in either. Did it once, she trashed my car, was rude, never again. Entitled mother says, "So you need to let my daughter in." I say, "No, I don't." She says, "Some people have things to do and can't sit around all day." I say, "Some people have jobs but still make sure their kids get on the bus. Go away." Entitled mother trying to reach through the cracked window says, "Open this door right now. Entitled girl wants to sit in your car. I need my nails done. I can't wait here." I say, "Nope, not my kid, not my problem. Just get in your car, it's raining." At this point, I start closing the window and she jerked her hand back. She didn't get in her car, but decided to start hitting mine, screaming about her self-importance and me needing to understand her daughter is always right. No, I didn't call the police. No need. The third kid at our stop is a sheriff officer's son. We have a deal. I watch his son in the morning. He gets mine home safe in the afternoon. He pulls up to entitled mother beating my car, entitled girl screaming she's going to die of embarrassment now that people see her mother's car. Officer says, "Entitled mother, why are you beating OP's car? It's raining, go sit in yours." I unlock the doors for his son to get in. Entitled mother says, "You see that? She won't let entitled girl in, but yet your son didn't even ask, and she let him go in. She's disrespectful of important people's time." Officer said, "You are responsible for your child, not OP. She can decline access to her vehicle if she wants to. Get in your car or I'm calling my sergeant to authorize an impound, because you will go to jail for attempted destruction of OP's car and harassment." Entitled mother sulked back to her car and the bus pulled up. Took my big umbrella out, got the boys on the bus. Entitled mother drove off before the bus closed the stop sign, so the officer stopped her for that violation. I went home chuckling. Not only are you dumb enough to expect your kid to go sit in a stranger's car and then beat on the car in the rain and then complain to an officer about that, but you go and you drive past the stop sign of a bus in front of the officer? There's a number of loose wires in that Karen's brain. This next story is by Phoebe2043. Entitled Facebook parent demands library removes all mentions of the LGBTQ+ community. The following words were taken from a Facebook post which I came across moments ago and immediately thought of the subreddit. Enjoy. Beginning of post. Am I being paranoid? This was supposed to be a post about a wonderful new library that we found on our way back home from school. Instead, this is a call for help. More than ever, we need to protect our children from this evil indoctrination. Let me give you a little background. You probably all know how much we love libraries and books. With that being said, when we learned that the brand new West Perry Library finally opened their doors, we immediately headed over there. We found this awesome, almost magical place with a huge children's section. It is amazing. The kids just went crazy over the beautiful furniture, the toys, the decoration, and of course, the crazy amount of colorful children's books. We started going there almost every day. They no longer wanted to go to our other favorite places. No more playgrounds, pools, other libraries, or even the museum. All they wanted to do was go to the new library. My excitement died quickly. Now I'm horrified and deeply upset. I want you to take a look at all of the rainbow books that we found in this magical place. Tons and tons of these materials. They're everywhere. Kids sectioned in every bookshelf, even the baby shelves. Teen sections, adult section, Spanish section. There's even a designated section for LGBTQ teens. Am I going crazy? Am I being paranoid? Do you see what I see? Are you concerned too? Please tell me that this is not normal. We've been to other libraries, even during Pride Month, and we've never seen so many books normalizing this lifestyle. Never. Dear rainbow people, as my kids respectfully call you, isn't your sexuality something private that you're free to live with in your own terms behind your door? Why are you trying to impose this on my children? Why? Dear concerned parents, please help me call this library or your local one if you've seen these books on every shelf as well. Help me make a respectful request to withdraw this material from our kids' reach. Us parents should be the sole educators of our kids in this important matter, and not beautiful, colorful, innocent books from our public libraries. This is not what our tax money should be used for. End of post. As you can imagine, the replies were not what they were expecting, and the page has given up responding to any comments that are posted. There's many other entitled posts on their page as well as many homophobic ones. Let me know if you'd like to see any more. You know, I heard of a similar situation going on one time. I think I learned it in history class, something about the 1930s and 40s. I think there was one particular place in the world where they were trying to censor all of a certain type of people. Can't quite put my finger on it though. I think bottom line, at the library you should be able to learn about pretty much anything. And our final story of the day is by Prince Panda 134, entitled Mother Wants Me to Get Rid of My Cat. Here we go again. This is another story about my own entitled mother. What does she want this time? A key? No. Information about my personal life? Nope. This time she wants me to get rid of my cat. Seriously? So this happened about 2 days ago. I'd been home for about a week now and got my cat. She's a sweetheart, a little shy, but she's an absolute cuddle bug. I spent all my free time snuggling with her or petting her for the past week. Fast forward to Sunday, it's my day off from work and I just want to relax. My sister was going to bring my nieces over so we could make cookies and brownies together. So around 1 p.m. I start getting everything out to be ready, and when they get here, I was a little worried about the cat around them since she was still getting used to the new place, but she was settling in great. So I have all the baking supplies out, I'm on the couch petting my cat and waiting for them to show up. About 5 minutes later, there's a knock on my door. My cat runs and hides in the bedroom and I go answer the door. I invite my sister and my nieces in. My sister starts apologizing to me. I ask her what for and she says she brought Mom, who was down in her car. I know you don't want her here, but I have to go to work soon and no one else could take them. Now I'm a little pissed off because I don't want to deal with my egg donor, and my sister could have asked me to watch them. I told her as much and she says, I know I should have asked, but I didn't know how nieces would react to the cat. I sigh deeply and say, okay, I'll deal with it this one time for the girls, but next time tell me please. I take my nieces over to the kitchen to get started, and my sister puts their bags on the couch. Then there's a knock. I ask my sister to get it, and in comes entitled Mother. I try my best to ignore her and just focus on my nieces. We're having fun and are about to put the cookies in the oven. As I put the last dough ball on the tray, my sister gets up to leave for work. The girls run over to give her a hug, I say goodbye, and turn to put the cookies in the oven while they're distracted. They're 5 and 3 and I'm really cautious about them in the oven when entitled Mother loses her mind. She starts screaming about how the girls are going to get burned. Now normally when the girls are around, I try to hold my temper, but I was already in a bad mood and not really in the mood to deal with stupid stuff, so I snap back, "How? They're on the other side of the dang room, are you really that daft?" She shuts up and slumps on the couch. My sister pulls me aside and asks if I'll be okay. I tell her I'm sorry for snapping, I'll be fine, it'll only be another 30 minutes or so. She leaves and I go back to fun uncle mode. I decide to introduce my nieces to the cat. So we go to my room where she's laying down on the bed. I sit down and she crawls on my lap. The girls start petting her, she's purring, everyone's happy. The younger one's a little shy, but she's okay. The timer goes off. I bring the girls to the living room and take the cookies out. I put the trays down, and when I turn around, the girls aren't on the couch anymore. All of a sudden, I hear the youngest crying. I go into full Uncle Bear mode and rush into the bedroom. I see my niece crying. When I ask what happened, my mom says the cat scratched her. I checked her arm, there's no mark and Lilith doesn't scratch people. So I take my oldest niece to a different room and asked her what happened. She told me that entitled mother brought them into the room and niece 2 was scared, that's all. Now I'm furious. I storm back into the room and entitled mother says, "You should get rid of that demon. She's so mean. I've had enough. Get the freak out of my apartment, you delusional witch." She was shocked. I'd never yelled or sworn in front of the girls. Lilith might be named after a demon, but she's an angel. You need to leave now. My nieces start crying and I feel awful, so I give them both a cookie for the road. I call my sister and tell her what happened, and she comes by after work and I give her a bag of cookies for the girls. She tells me entitled mother called her and told her a completely different version of what had happened, that my cat attacked the girls and blah blah blah. Luckily my sister believed me because she's not a complete idiot. I'm sorry, but if I had a pet that I cherished and I knew was a good pet, and I had a parent or a sibling or a relative come by and they say, "You need to get rid of that demon," and trying to make them seem like there's some kind of demon that attacks people, I'd be livid too. Pets are family to me, you can't be acting like that about my pet. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.